Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. You'll notice Doctor Strange right there behind me. the um, I went to see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and I wanted to give my take on the movie. So there's going to be spoilers. If you don't like spoilers, turn off the video now, but give me a like anyways. so yeah, I'm going to give you my feedback about the movie, and there's going to be lots of spoilers. So I'm going to first of all talk about the overall movie, whether or not I liked it. I'll actually give you my review, like of whether or not I liked it right off the bat. So what did I give the movie? I gave it a 7 to 8. And I'm kind of in between. Some parts of me kind of want to bring the score down. Some parts of me want to bring the score up. So I feel very bipolar about the whole thing. It's kind of weird. So I'll explain why. Because it's kind of two movies, or maybe even three. There's the movie about Wanda, which is really just if you take WandaVision and you just say, hey, we're gonna write season 2. This would be season 2 because it's really taking Wanda, continuing Wanda's journey. So at the end of WandaVision, she gets the dark hold. And one of the things that we see is her reading the dark hold and kind of taking it on. However, at the end of WandaVision, she kind of tries to redeem herself. She, it sort of denounces the evil that she was. So it seems a little strange that she would then go relapse into evil. But the dark hold has that impact on people, that it corrupts them. And one of the things that you can see when you get corrupted, especially within Wanda, is her fingers will go black. Okay, and they use that in this movie. So one of the things that happens is it seems kind of weird, the whole situation, but America Chavez is kind of the central MacGuffin in the story. So basically the movie starts out with a Doctor Strange having a dream about America Chavez. And America Chavez is basically this character who can open up portals between different multiverses. And she basically is in Doctor Strange's dream. And then we learn that there's this concept that our dreams are not actually just dreams in the general sense. They're actually us experiencing other versions of ourselves. So what we dream about is actually happening in some other multiverse. So I thought kind of a cool idea. There's a lot of embarrassed versions of myself in multiverses because I always had that dream being naked in school. I don't know why. So I feel sorry for my multiverses out there. So that was a concept that she brought into the story. And so basically his dream about her is something that actually happened. That in his dream, he actually tries to kill America Chavez. And that's why when she comes into our Doctor Strange's reality, she's a little wary of him. She's a little scared of him because she's experienced him before, and many times before. So when the story starts up, it starts with the big spaghetti monster. No, it starts with the big, I want to say Sumagrath, but it's not Sumagrath. It's the other one that they basically switched out because they didn't have the rights to Sumagrath. And it's the one-eyed squid monster. And basically it starts out with him fighting that monster. And America Chavez is the one that the monster seems to be going after. So, Doctor Strange saves America Chavez from this monster. And the CGI on the monster was a little iffy. I think there was something that was a bit cartoonish about the monster, and I didn't really like that. But what happens is they fight the monster. America Chavez, they kind of say, hey, look, we saved you, we're not so bad, and they kind of all become friends. One weird thing about this movie is that whole dynamic creates a situation where they know that America Chavez has this power and somebody is chasing after her to get those powers. So Doctor Strange thinks, okay, who can I go to basically help this situation? And he goes to Wanda. Okay, so his first choice is actually, the twist is that it's Wanda, and it's not much of a twist because it's soon after that we learn that Wanda is the one that was chasing after Chavez. So basically, Doctor Strange goes to Wanda. Wanda says, "Hey, I'm actually chasing after her." Like basically, it's almost like that. It's she kind of reveals herself as being evil. Soon after he meets with her and has like a discussion. She seems very normal at first, but she reveals the secret that she's the one actually trying to get America Chavez, and her motivation, and you got to believe this motivation, is that she wants to be reunited with her children. And she dreams, in her dreams, her children are still alive. Therefore, she knows that somewhere in the multiverse, those children still exist. And she wants to get her children back. So that's her motivation. So I felt that motivation, though I understand women like have a strong bond with their children, and I appreciate that. She created this whole Westview or situation where she basically wanted to live as a mother with children, and that was kind of her motivation. She imprisoned a whole town in order to have those children. So I can see that she was very obviously very motivated to maintain those children. However, at the end of WandaVision, she really was trying to redeem herself and give up all those things. She was willing to give it all up. So it made me kind of wonder, why not, if she's really like wanting to kind of recreate this child thing, she has the capability. She doesn't have to imprison a town to do it. She could just create a false reality for herself, live in that false reality where she has her kids. There was no real reason for her to, to go on this journey of trying to capture American Chavez just so that she could steal American Chavez's powers, so that she could go off and steal other Wanda's children. So, because it's going to be some other version of herself that has the children, and she has to basically snatch these children. So that's kind of the logic. It didn't really click for me. I didn't really feel like it was a rational way of going about her objective. And she had to basically kill everybody in order to achieve that objective. So once Doctor Strange realized that, hey, Wanda is a threat. So did I mention there's going to be spoilers? So I'm just giving you the whole story. So when Doctor Strange realized that Wanda is the threat, he immediately basically sacrifices everybody in his whole wizardry school to basically protect this girl that he just met. And he risks all of their lives because he sees that the potential is that Wanda could rule all of the multiverse. And, and with her being corrupted by the Darkhold, she could potentially rule it in a way that would be very, very, very bad for everybody in the multiverse. So he basically tries to protect this America Chavez girl. So that's the overall theme to the story. And that's sort of the first act of the story. In the fight, they go into the multiverse and they experience, the second half of the movie, where they kind of travel between a couple, not too many multiverses. Like there's like a little scene where they travel through many, and it's kind of cool. But there's they mainly stay into two different multiverses. One where it's a society ruled by the Illuminati. So obviously that's, if there was a lot of people specking on the Illuminati, well, the Illuminati makes an appearance in this movie. And the Illuminati is really basically Professor X, Mr. Fantastic, um, what's Monica Rambeau's mother, Captain Carter, and what's his name, Mondo, the guy that was originally Doctor Strange's nemesis. And who else? I said Professor X. Oh, and Black Bolt. So those form the Illuminati, and they're all super powerful. These are like some of the most powerful characters in Marvel. Like Black Bolt can literally, with his, just saying your name, he can destroy a planet. He's like super powerful. They're all part of this Illuminati group, and they basically imprison Doctor Strange because they know that Doctor Strange, in their reality, was corrupted by the Darkhold, and they're kind of a little bit paranoid about Doctor Strange's. But they question Doctor Strange about, what's going on. And Doctor Strange says, hey, there's this girl called Wanda coming, and she's gonna cause some problems if you don't let me help. And they don't listen. So there's actually that situation I thought was kind of cool. Like that part of the movie I enjoyed, where you get the Illuminati fighting against Wanda. There was a couple things that really didn't bother me. Even my son, like I watched it with my son. He was like, hey, why didn't Professor X just control her and the rest of the Illuminati just beat her up? That would have made sense. But instead, they just, they almost do the situation where in the, Kung Fu movies, you have the one good guy and it's like you got 20 bad guys around them, and the 20 bad guys take turns beating, like trying to attack the one good guy, and he defeats them individually. Well, that's kind of what happened with the Illuminati. It didn't feel like they were all kind of working together to kind of defeat Wanda. Like Mr. Fantastic, he basically within seconds is dead, which is so sad because, you feel like, oh, finally we see the Fantastic Four, and no, it's like destroyed. But, it obviously we're setting up for those characters. This is just a multiverse, so there's millions of others of these Fantastic Four characters, but, it was sad to see him get destroyed so easily. And then Black Bolt gets destroyed pretty easily too. Basically all the male characters die pretty quick, and then it's a girl on girl battle. And that was that was a little weak. I would have liked to have seen that battle be a little bit stronger between as a team. I would have liked to have seen that, but I thought it was a cool battle altogether. It really shows that all of the characters are at their peak. So Wanda is at her peak. She's been she's not only the full version of the Scarlet Witch, but she has all the things that she's learned from the Darkhold to really enhance her powers. So she's ultra powerful. And Doctor Strange is at his peak. All the characters are kind of peaking out and battling it out. It's kind of cool. We always like to see our heroes battle it out. So, so those are the kind of the major scenes. And Professor X gets killed as well. So all the characters that we're like super excited to see get killed off. I didn't see the Living Tribunal, by the way. If anyone has seen, like in the trailer or they show the Living Tribunal, I did not see him in the movie. Did anyone see him? I'm just curious about that. Leave a comment below about that. I'm curious about that. Maybe I missed it. I might have looked the wrong way or was eating my popcorn. I didn't see the Living Tribunal. So just a question to the audience. But what the parts that I liked about the movie, I'll instead of me spoiling the whole entire story, I'll explain the parts that I enjoyed about the story, and I'll tell you the parts that I didn't like. So the parts that I enjoyed were the idea between Rachel McAdams' character and Doctor Strange, where they basically, Carter, Peggy, is it Peggy Carter? I think so. where they kind of, is it Peggy? No, I don't think it's Peggy. Night witch, night nurse girl. Okay, I always forget characters' names. It's kind of a thing I do. Um, oh well. So Rachel McAdams and Doctor Strange, basically, their situation is interesting. That love dynamic. I didn't understand why she randomly married some guy. Like, they didn't really explain the how that kind of happened. But the fact that he loves her across the multiverse, and that he in a way kind of wants to, get back together with her. And I felt that there was a dynamic there that was interesting. I was strangely, like, back to Rachel McAdams. She's a very beautiful girl. I was really strangely bothered. I don't know why. This is like a weird nitpick, but I was really strangely bothered by her mole. She has this gigantic mole, and I don't know why. It kind of reminded me, maybe because I watched Austin Powers just before watching Doctor Strange. I don't know why, but I did. And there's the scene with where Austin Powers is like seeing, the kid from Wonder Years, and he's got this giant mole, and he's a mole in the story, and he's just like mole, 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 mole. I just saw that literally before going to see Doctor Strange. So the whole time I'm thinking about that in my head as I see Rachel McAdams. So sorry, Rachel McAdams, but your mole bothered me. I know it's a weird nitpick, and it was just really distracting to me. I don't, probably nobody else noticed. I noticed. I don't know. So yeah, that's just a weird thing. I'd get it removed. You're such a pretty girl. Just remove it. Okay, weird things to mention. So I liked the whole Doctor Strange and that love interest thing. I liked some of the horror elements that were brought into the movie. I liked the fact that there was the zombie Doctor Strange. I liked the fact that he had the cape that had all these nightmares in it. I just thought that was cool. I enjoyed some of the battles that happened in the movie. I thought the pacing was reasonably good. Like, there was no point where you felt a little slow. It kind of kept moving. I felt that it was moved quite well. I enjoyed all of those elements. I actually didn't mind America Chavez as much as most people would have, maybe. I thought at least they toned her down. Because in the comics, she comes from a planet of utopia where it's no men, because men are evil. America is a Spanish country, and it's all this kind of like wokeism in her comic. She's just super wokey character, and if you watch my channel enough, you know that I hate wokeness. So they toned her down. They did mention that she has two mothers, and that's her parents, and I thought that was a little cringy. But they really toned it down, and they didn't bring up, oh, you have two mothers? That's strange. They didn't mention it. They just toned it down, and they said, oh, your parents, you got disconnected from your parents. They're probably still out there. And they really toned it down where they didn't bring it up too much. Because I think that would have been kind of annoying, and it would have kind of brought in a whole bunch of wokeism, and I really wasn't feeling that. I felt like that was one good thing about this movie. They didn't bring too much woke stuff. Even though the whole time America Chavez is wearing obviously a rainbow pin, and in Spanish it says love is love. I could read that. So there was a bit of like that subtleness in there. But they didn't make it too bad. And she was a bit boring, that was kind of part of it. And the other thing that I did enjoy is Sam Raimi, the way he directs. You can see the horror is kind of front and center. And I almost recommend that before watching Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, watch Evil Dead. It's like, wow, this is like a scene from Evil Dead. This is a scene from Evil Dead. There was just so many things, like, the dark hold, kind of like similar to the book in Evil Dead. There's like so many things where you kind of feel like there's like, a bit of a comparison that could be made between the two movies. A lot of his, the zombie element too. There's a bunch of things where you feel like Sam Raimi really had his hands on this project. And the horror elements I thought worked. So that. Now, what did I not like about this movie? And why did I give it an 8 or 7? I still feel like 8 or 7. I'm not sure. Instead of a 10. Why wasn't it the perfect movie? And the reasons were, I liked Wanda. I really enjoyed Wanda in the movie, but she didn't sell me on why she should be evil, on why, I didn't really feel like maybe because they don't want to show her as pure evil. I didn't really feel like she was corrupted I couldn't feel that corruption. And so I felt like, why is she acting so illogical? Why is she, I would have liked them to show her being more corrupted, more tainted. I know that she did very evil things, but she was the whole time, it was almost in denial. She was like, I'm not a monster as I kill you and your baby. It's like, I'm not a monster. I'm just a mother wanting to play with my children. It's like, it was, it didn't quite, I just didn't quite buy it. I don't know why. It just didn't quite work for me. Though I did like Wanda as a character, so kind of weird. Also, one thing that I found was kind of weak in this movie was Marvel, unlike DC, has its humor elements. And sometimes they go too far with their humor and they, lay it on too much. In this movie, there was very little humor. And when there was probably attempts at humor, I didn't really catch the humor. I found that it fell flat. So I found it was a little humorless. And it felt little not like a typical Marvel movie as a result. Good and bad in that. So that was kind of weird. I kind of had one of the big problems, and this is one of those movies that I really feel bad for Marvel in a way, because they've hyped it so much, and they have to, they have to build that audience, really get people to go to this movie. Well, the problem is my expectations were pretty high. Not pretty high, extremely high. I was expecting, I love the situation, where they go to, this universe, that universe. I was kind of hoping for that kind of, all over the place, meeting, a whole bunch of cool characters, meeting versions of themselves, meeting quirky things. I was kind of hoping for that. And we didn't really get that as much as I had hoped. It was very, very small in terms of that. And when I say small, it was really, there was just a scene where they get pushed into the multiverse, basically. And for about 1 minute, they're kind of going through all these different multiverses where they become a cartoon, they become paint, they become all these things. And then they end up in some different version of our reality. And, all those cutscenes, I would have liked to have explored those other multiverses a bit more. Maybe. That's a personal thing. I really had that expectation. So I almost feel like if they almost made the movie longer and really kind of explored the multiverses, I would have liked that. And the other big problem for me was the America Chavez part. That she is a MacGuffin. She is oh, we gotta protect this girl. Everything's kind of surrounding her, and it just didn't really work for me. I don't know why. It just felt very flat. And a lot of the characters, they did things that didn't make sense to me. The Illuminati, should have understood Doctor Strange a bit better. they should have said, okay, the fact that they imprisoned him seemed not to make sense. Even though, Doctor Strange has, in their reality, been corrupted, who's to, like, this other Doctor Strange obviously hasn't been, so they should have been a little bit more logical about that. They should have been more treating him as like a potential ally rather than just somebody that they would drug and imprison, like just randomly. So I didn't really understand that motivation. I would have liked to have seen the movie I would have liked to have seen it be a little bit more epic, just sort of bigger, grander scale. And that was the interesting thing about it, that it was much more grounded than I wanted it to be. It was much more toned down. Another thing that some people, I guess, liked it. I didn't like the battle between Doctor Strange and Doctor Strange, like where there's that battle between himself and his evil self. I felt like that didn't really work for me. I felt like I didn't like the music. It was a music battle. It didn't really work for me. I thought it was kind of a bit cringy. It reminded me of Fantasia for some reason, like, the one with Mickey Mouse and he's like the sorcerer's apprentice, and it kind of reminded me of that. I don't know why. Yeah. So much to say. I'm probably giving way too many spoilers, and like, if you haven't watched the movie, then this is like a lot of spoilers because I really got into the plot. But overall, the acting was good. There was a few things that bothered me, like, too much, a little bit of girl power going on. I thought that was a little annoying. You gotta let one thing that Marvel does, and DC does this now too much now, is they don't really give their male characters enough credit. And I kind of would like to see the male characters get a little bit more respect in movies. Just a small like quip, or not quip, whatever, quarrel with the movie, I guess. Yeah. So those are my thoughts. There's so much more that I could say. I saw the movie on Thursday. I'm going to be showing this video on Saturday. So if you watch this and you haven't seen the movie, sorry that I just basically spoiled the whole thing. But I hope you enjoyed my take on the movie. There's probably a lot more that I could say. It was a 2-hour movie. There was a lot of stuff. I was super excited about the fact that both Professor X and Fantastic Four, Mr. Fantastic, were in the movie. And I think that's super important. So even if this movie failed on whatever, like, it's still a good movie. Even though it didn't maybe get my 9 or 10, because it introduced both the X-Men and Fantastic Four into the MCU, I'm super excited because this brings lots of potential for future movies. The other thing that I would like to mention is there's 2 end scenes, I should say, end credit scenes. The second one has Charlize Theron in it, and she is Cleo. And that is cool. That is cool that they brought that character in. So that was really interesting to me, that they brought in some of these other characters. And I think that could be a potentially interesting situation, because they end it with that to be continued situation where they're going into the realm of Dormammu, which is kind of interesting. So I thought that was kind of cool. Nice little end bit. And I enjoyed both of the end scenes. So stay to the very end if you're going to watch the movie. Again, thanks for watching this. Bit of a rant, bit of a ramble, but I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe and comment and all that kind of stuff. Bye for now.